Dana White just did an interview where he said that Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall is a done deal. We're going to check out that interview in a second because it gives more of an update on the Jones and Aspinall situation. But there has been a lot going on regarding Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Ariel Helwani has been giving little subtle updates. There's been a mass panic. Jon Jones wants 6 months to prepare for Tom Aspinall, and the fight's never going to happen. I'm going to give my thoughts on all of that as well because Dana has dropped some hints on First Take during UFC 313 Fight Week, which we're going to get to. He dropped some hints during the UFC 313 presser, and now we have this larger update during an interview with TNT Sports for UFC London that came out a couple hours ago that we're going to take a couple different looks at a couple different clips from that interview as well. Let's jump right into it. First off, we're going to start off with a 30-second clip from First Take. This was the week of UFC 313. He was asked about a potential fight between Alex Pereira and Jon Jones, and he gives a very small but important update on Jon Jones's return to the UFC. Check this out.
On the fight, Pereira?
Jones will fight anybody, too.
Okay.
Do you know?
I know he's not scared of anybody. He's the greatest ever. No, he's the greatest ever. I'm talking about does he want to do it? You know, because we know he could beat anybody. Does he want to do it?
He does want to do it.
I think best sporting event I went to this year, well, technically 2024, was in November at the Garden for Jon Jones fight. When do you think we would potentially see him back?
This summer.
Okay.
So there you go. We have Casual, Stephen A. Smith, and whoever this is, asking Dana about fighting Pereira. Dana says Jones will fight anyone. Jones wants to fight everyone, and Jones will return this summer. Now, you can't take every word Dana says as set in stone, but we're going to get to some more information, and then I'm going to give my take throughout this video. The next clip I want to check out is Dana White at the UFC 313 post-fight presser, where he also confirms that Jon Jones will most likely return this summer. But if you didn't listen carefully, because there was a lot of very soft-spoken questions, and it's like they were walking on thin ice. They were scared to kind of ask actual questions to Dana White. So you might, if you were listening to this live, you might actually miss this. So listen to this.
Well, I think that, listen, Jon Jones definitely wants to fight. Just when and where is what we're working on now.
Do you feel confidence? I think you said Jon
I'm
would
very
fight in summer on First Take.
that fight happens, yeah.
Summer?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Summer, yes. And he is very confident that Jon Jones will fight Tom Aspinall. Take it for what you will. Again, we're going to get a more complete update and him being pressed a little bit more on TNT Sports, but we're going to get to that in a second. The next thing I want to check out. So we hear Dana White multiple times during UFC 313 Fight Week and after saying Jon Jones returning in the summer. He is very confident that Jon Jones will return in the summer. Now, there's another thing I want to talk about. I really want to crap on the MMA media, whether it be just the legacy MMA media, the MMA Twitter trolls, the MMA content creators. I am so sick and tired of these lazy fucking bums regurgitating very incomplete information, and they don't even source the original information. So I'm going to actually show you kind of the viral tweet, and then I'm going to show you what it actually is. Because if you actually seek out original sources, you have any type of media literacy and critical thinking skills, you can kind of break this down a little bit deeper than most people have been talking about. I've been talking about it on live streams, but I've been waiting for more information to come out before I actually made this video. But what we have is Happy Punch, some MMA Twitter news sites that's posting about the Tate brothers and Jake Paul and the Nelk boys and Theo Von and all that stuff. They post this. Jon Jones reportedly wants 6 months to prepare for the Aspinall fight once it's locked in. Quote, the clock is ticking. It feels like if summer is the goal, it's starting to slip away a bit. Now, I understand how you can kind of be fooled by this, and I'm going to show you the original clip here in a second. But this got 2 million views. 2 million views. And everyone is just, the MMA media, MMA Twitter trolls are just regurgitating this exact quote this exact tweet, and they're like, man, Jones is demanding 6 months. It reminds me of the Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed Ankalaev is demanding Abu Dhabi. Magomed Ankalaev is turning down the fight during Ramadan. Magomed Ankalaev doesn't deserve a title. Just made up narratives. Made up narratives. This could be true, but the amount of people I see regurgitating just this simple tweet without actually listening to the original source material is insane to me. So let's seek out the original source material. It's from the UFC 313 post-fight show, which was like 4 days before this even made news. And if you listen to the full context of it, it's kind of like an off-the-cuff comment by Ariel Helwani with no real backing. You know, he doesn't say, oh, I heard from a source very close to Jones. I heard from a source, a very reliable source, this or that. Listen to the context of the way Ariel says this. Listen to this.
Dana White said on First Take that Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall might happen this summer. So if Jon Jones can't make that fight, I got a guy that I bet would come back this summer and fight.
Well, the clock is ticking on that one because, you know, I was told that Jon wants 6 months to prepare if the fight is locked in. And what's 6 months from now? September? Now, I'm sure, you know, money talks, but it feels like the summer, you know, if that is the goal, it's starting to slip away a little bit. Yuri Prochazka.
If that is the goal. Then he goes off to read a Yuri Prochazka tweet talking about fighting Alex Pereira. By the way, they're talking about a potential Alex Pereira-Tom Aspinall fight. There's what they're implying. Shama, Ariel doing his whole little arrow gimmick as well. Listen to how unserious those comments were. Oh, if that's true. It's not like Ariel is reporting. I've heard from a source very close to the situation. I'm hearing from sources close to the UFC. No, what he probably heard was something from Tom Aspinall's camp because he's very friendly with Tom Aspinall's camp and heard, oh, Jon Jones potentially wants 6 months. And then he just regurgitated it. It could be true. Again, it could be true. I'm going to get to my opinion in a little bit because we got a lot more to go through. But it's like this off-the-cuff comment was made into some massive ordeal simply for clicks, simply for internet clout, essentially. It was just Ariel kind of saying, oh, this is what I heard. This is what I heard from the rumor mill. And then everyone ran with it like, man, Jones is stalling out Tom Aspinall's career. Jon Jones, you know, he wants 6 months from the day it's set. Now we're not going to see it till the end of the year. Which, okay, again, it could be true. Again, I'll get to my thoughts in a minute. I want to show you an Ariel update. After this blew up, Ariel had to make an update video. Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall timeline explained. Will it happen in 2025 is the name of the video. I'll link everything I'm showing you here down in the description if you care to go check out the original sources. I always encourage you to do such. But this is Ariel now essentially discussing the viral tweet from Happy Punch. Okay? And I want to show you this because I know there's going to be people down in the comments saying, Joey, why wouldn't people run with Ariel's, original comment? You can tell Ariel's kind of saying, look, I don't even know if this is true, per se. Listen to this.
I saw that a couple of sites, I think it was Happy Punch and another, ran with the 6 month thing that I said yesterday. No, they ran with it yesterday and I said it last week, more than a week ago. I don't know how that came up. Listen, I tell you guys what I know. And we all know that they want to make the fight. We all know that Aspinall is in. And I don't need to be some kind of insider to tell you this. He has said it himself. We all know that he's meeting with the brass this week in London. We know that Jon Jones is in at a certain price. We believe that price is in the vicinity of $30 million. We all agree that he is worth that price. We all agree that they should make that fight and pay him that amount of money.
So there you hear the update from Ariel Helwani. He never, I watched this entire video, he never says, yeah, I heard it's a hard demand from Jon Jones's camp. We need 6 months from the time the fight was officially signed. So if it's signed in April, he's going to need till October. If it's signed in May, he's going to need till November. He never says that in his official kind of update where he's being more serious about what's going on. He's just saying the UFC hopes to make it. They're in a TV rights negotiation deal right now. Once ESPN, the contract expires at the end of the year, the negotiating period is opening up in April. Hopefully they pay Jon Jones because this is a mega fight. He never regurgitates the 6 month narrative ever. I believe what's going on right now, and we still got more to check out. We're going to listen to Tom Aspinall talk about Jon Jones, and I think Tom Aspinall is spot on. We're going to get to Tom Aspinall. We're going to get to Dana White as well, because Dana White is now saying it's a done deal, but doesn't know exactly when it's going to happen. But my thoughts are, Ariel heard this from like a vague source, maybe from the Aspinall camp, that was like half serious. He kind of said it off the cuff during the UFC 313 post-fight show. All of a sudden, somebody heard it a week later and started throwing it out there on Twitter, and everyone went crazy about it. Is it possible someone like Jones would say something like that? Yes, it is. Jones is very serious about preparation for his opponents. He turned down a Chael Sonnen fight that he would have easily won on short notice because he didn't want to take a short notice fight. But he fought last November. It's now almost April. So what are we talking? It's been 5 months almost, right? Well, it's been 4 months because you would have all December, January, February, March. So it's been basically 4 months, heading up on 5 months since he fought Stipe. He's known people wanted the Aspinall fight since the Cyril Gane fight, and I don't even know when that was. When was that? January of 2023? I don't even know at this point. Yeah, I believe it was January or March of 2023. Sorry. He's known people have wanted this fight. Even if he has to put on some weight, it's not a 6-month weight gain. I believe everything, and I've said this before, and I haven't, it's not like I'm willing to die on this hill 100%, but I've leaned this direction. I believe everything Jon Jones said in the lead up to the old man Stipe Miocic fight was a negotiation tactic against Dana White in the UFC. Jon Jones is one of the very few fighters that has leverage over the UFC. And I believe Dana White in the UFC, Dana White, Hunter Campbell in the UFC are trying to make Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall International Fight Week. I broke this down in the video where I discussed Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. I think the UFC is trying to plan out their schedule for the rest of the year. And when you have mega fights on the horizon, like Islam versus Topuria potentially happening, like Jon Jones versus Aspinall, like DDP versus Khamzat Chimaev, like Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira too, they're trying to pinpoint it. I believe they want Jones Aspinall International Fight Week. If that does not happen, they're going to go with something else. But they still want Jones Aspinall later down the line, whether that be August, September, it could be September. You don't know. We don't truly know what the UFC is planning, but I believe right now they are aiming for International Fight Week based on everything Dana has said. Look, Jones is probably going to return in the summer. Jones is probably going to return in the summer. Now, could that not happen? Could that get derailed? Yes, it could be. And I'm going to give my thoughts on that in a second, because Tom Aspinall says he's tired of waiting. He's tired of waiting for Jones. He just wants to fight. This is an interview he did with the Schmo. It literally came out roughly 24 hours ago. Listen to this.
Meeting, Tom? I just want to fight. I just want to fight somebody. So I'm looking to fight somebody as soon as possible. 495 days you've been the interim champ, man. How much longer are you willing to wait holding the interim title? I just want to fight somebody. I'm a professional fighter and I want to fight somebody. And I'm over waiting, to be honest. I want to fight.
You want to fight indeed.
I don't want to fight you, unless they're going to pay me. But I just want to fight, yeah, whoever wants it. Whether that's Jon Jones or somebody else, I will fight somebody sometime soon.
Do you have a hard deadline, a date in mind that you'd give him before you take a fight?
I just want to fight as soon as possible. I'm not really too bothered, to be honest. I'll see what they say. I'm open. So
supposedly he's having a meeting with Hunter Campbell and the UFC brass later this night. Tom Aspinall is spot on right now. I don't want to wait. I don't want to waste my career. I don't want to sit out in my prime. He is, 32 years old at heavyweight, where heavyweights can fight really into their early 40s. Think about the stark contrast between Tom Aspinall, who clearly has a brain, by the way, and someone like Michael Chandler at lightweight, where mid-30s is essentially a death sentence, and Conor McGregor strung Michael Chandler along, and I blame Michael Chandler for it at some point. It's, shame on you at this point, and strung him on for years, sitting out in his late 30s at lightweight. So I 100% agree with Tom Aspinall. And I believe right now, and this is just my educated guess, what Tom Aspinall is saying right here is if Jones isn't willing to fight me this summer, International Fight Week, which is late June, which right now it's basically April, which is crazy. We're looking at 3 months. We're looking at them getting into their training camps right now if they're going to fight at International Fight Week. Some guys like 12-week camps. Some guys even like 16-week camps. Okay, so we're talking about them getting into training camp right now and fighting at International Fight Week, which I believe will be UFC 317, because there'll be an early pay-per-view in June and a late pay-per-view in June. The late pay-per-view would be UFC 317 International Fight Week. I think what Aspinall is saying is if it's not going to happen this summer, June, July, I want to fight someone else. Because if it's not happening this summer, what's the most next likely date? It would be November. Think about what happened with Jones-Stipe. Jones beat Cyril Gane in March. There was a lot of talk for summer. It didn't happen in summer. They scheduled it for November. Months and months later, then Jones gets hurt. Then they have to postpone it for a full year. Tom Aspinall, rightfully so, doesn't want to sit out waiting till November, which I think it'll be a real misstep if the UFC tries to book this in November. We're supposed to wait 8 months for this fight when neither one of these guys have fought in over 6 months at this point, or close to 6 months at this point. Oh, it's coming up on a year for Tom Aspinall. He didn't fight since last July. The same card, Bilal Muhammad dumped Leon Edwards on his bald spot. So I think Tom Aspinall right now is saying, if we're not going to fight this summer, I want to fight someone else. The Jon Jones fight could always be there. And I'm going to get to my opinion towards the end of this video of what I think Tom Aspinall should do based on different scenarios. But the last thing I want to check out is Dana White did an interview with TNT Sports. We have Tom Aspinall's little butt buddy here. Thankfully, he actually kind of presses Dana White for an update for this heavyweight fight. And Dana White says, look, it's a done deal, but it's kind of not a done deal. We're just working out the date, essentially. It's not really logistics. We just want to figure out the date, which is kind of logistics. But anyway, let's listen.
Is what's going on in the heavyweight division, because there's British interest with Tom Aspinall. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's...
Give us a little bit of something. Can the fans get excited about the super fight?
I'll tell you what I've been telling you since day one. The fight's going to happen. The fight's going to happen. It's just a matter of when now, and getting it signed and done, and the fight will happen.
Do you have a cut-off point in your mind of when to get that done?
No, it's going to happen. It's done, but it's not done.
It's going to happen. It's done. So that leads me to believe they are very close financially, if not already have agreed to terms with Jones financially. They already got Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall has been in. What they're trying to figure out right now is when is it going to happen? And that's what Dana kind of alluded to at the UFC 313 presser. When is it going to happen? Tom Aspinall even referenced that in another clip that I didn't show you. I believe he did a vlog on his channel where he said, look, they're trying to negotiate with Jones on when it's going to happen. And they're trying to negotiate for that summer date, International Fight Week. And there's more here.
Not done enough to sit right here now and announce it and give you a date, but the fight's going to happen.
With that then, if I could just poke it a little bit more, is it more on logistics rather than the agreement of the fighters?
No.
Is it on the logistics?
No, there's no, just a matter of getting it signed now.
Okay, so we can expect to see it in the not too distant future.
I said it, when we first started talking about it, and I've said it many times in between, and I'll say it again now. The fight's going to happen.
So the question is, and there's a little bit more to this, is Dana White lying? The way he's so committal here, I think Dana's pretty sure that this fight's going to happen. Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall is literally a mega fight in the heavyweight division. Jon Jones has been around forever. Dana White's been, basically fanboying over him for the last 2 years. He's the pound for pound number one. He's got German Shepherds. He's got a dark side to him. He shoots guns. He slaps spray paint cans out of vigilantes' hands during unrest. I think Dana has gotten enough information from Jones that right now they just have to agree on a specific date, or they're very close in negotiating back and forth with numbers, and they're waiting to just announce the full thing, which could be in a couple weeks. And then there's a little bit more here, which even confirms my suspicions a little bit more. Dana knows what he has here. Dana knows that the amount of money they're going to make off of this will help them negotiate their future TV rights deal or internet fights streaming deal, their internet streaming deal with wherever the UFC goes after ESPN. They know that Jones Aspinall will be a mega event, that even if they pay Jones $30 million, it's going to pay off in the end for the UFC and help build the UFC even more, even bigger than it currently is. Listen to this.
Me and my crew believe that this is probably the biggest heavyweight fight we've done. When we pull this off and actually make the fight, announce it, and start leading up to it, that this will be the biggest heavyweight fight in UFC history.
It's always a pleasure to have you on, Britt.
So there you go. And that was a little nugget towards the end. This is the biggest fight in UFC heavyweight history. So he knows how much this fight is worth. He must make this fight. And I am Mr. Pessimistic, and I am naturally skeptical of everything Dana White says. But my educated guess here, okay? Look at this shit-eating grin. Look at how many times he's individually confirmed Jones versus Aspinall. Am I worried that somehow the UFC could fumble the bag? Yes, of course I am. But it feels like it's more likely than not likely to happen right now as we sit here right now. He's saying, look, it's a done deal. We just got to figure out a date and place where it's happening. We just got to figure out a location and date. Other than that, that tells me that Dana is essentially saying, we have locked them down to a contract. We just got to send out bout agreements. And hopefully, I believe he is hoping for International Fight Week. Maybe Jones told the UFC, again, maybe the 6-month thing was true. Maybe Jones is using that as a bargaining chip. Like, look, I want 6 months for this fight. And Dana's like, look, we really want it for International Fight Week. That's only 3 months away. Okay, well, pay me another $1 million. Give me a little bonus with my pay-per-view points. Maybe that's what Jones is asking for. But at the end of the day, even if they pay Jones $30 million, it is worth every penny to the UFC. It will help grow the sport. It'll help bolster them looking at their new rights deal that they're going to negotiate for distributing for next year with the UFC, whether it's with ESPN, Netflix, or whatever, Amazon, HBO, whatever it may end up on. It's going to help them. They're going to recoup all that money. Think of the gate that they're going to do. Think about how expensive the tickets are going to do. So I think that it's going to happen. Does it happen International Fight Week? I hope so. I would say right now, 75% chance Aspinall Jones International Fight Week. It's either that or Islam versus Topuria. I believe all these things are interconnected right now. He was asked about Topuria and moving up to lightweight in this interview, and he said, we'll be announcing it in the next couple weeks. Give us a couple weeks. I think they are figuring out all their different pawns they are moving around the board right now. But ultimately, and I've been back and forth on this, right now, I do believe Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall happens. It's just too big not to happen. Like, if Dana doesn't make this fight, he has failed as a promoter. He has failed as the head of the UFC, especially considering he's going around saying, look, it's guaranteed, it's a done deal. I don't think he's flat out lying about this. And the way he's got that shit-eating grin on his face, he knows he's about to make buckets upon buckets of cash for the UFC and for himself. He's going to line his pockets. So I think it does happen. Look, Tom Aspinall, if he's not able to get this fight locked in for the summer, I think he should ask for a fight in the summer. Look, keep me busy. Old man Jones wants to sit out. Keep me busy. Because at the end of the day, Tom Aspinall beats 99% of the heavyweights. The heavyweight division is dead right now outside of Aspinall Jones. If Aspinall wants to keep busy, let him fight Jalton Almeida over the summer. Then he can fight Jones in November, because Tom Aspinall, his fights aren't very long. Now, do you run the risk of somehow Aspinall loses that fight? It could happen. But what happens if Tom were to wait till November and then all of a sudden Jones gets injured? Or even worse, imagine Aspinall gets injured and pulls out of the fight in November. So if Tom is ready to go, if it's not going to happen this summer, if I was Tom, I would ask for a fight, June or July. Then he can still fight November, which will be 4 or 5 months away. And that way his career is not being stalled. It'll suck because technically he'll be defending an interim title. But even so, you could strip Jones, elevate Aspinall to undisputed, let him defend his belt, and let Jones fight for the belt coming back in November. That'd be insane. I don't think they would do that. But I think Tom waiting for November, December would be a big mistake. But ultimately, I don't think that's going to happen. And this is a mega fight. This is a huge fight for the UFC. I just think Dana has to put it together. And I think the way he's reassuring fans that it's going to happen, I tend to actually believe him in this case. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.